I told you about 6 or 7 weeks ago that there's a good chance that the DNC changes the debate requirements in order to allow the late Michael Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg alive. I mean, the late to the race Michael Bloomberg and the quite frankly rapidly surging Michael Bloomberg into the debates. And it's happening. It's happening exactly as I predicted. And now we will see what the other candidates say. The requirements to qualify for debates have included a combination of polling numbers and donor requirements, total number of donors and donors in, I think it's at least 20 states, and then polling in early states. Billionaire Michael Bloomberg entered this race very, very late and just bought his way in. He hasn't been raising money from individual donors. He doesn't need to. He's a turbo billionaire. He has a lot more money than Donald Trump. And he's just been funding his own campaign, which means he wouldn't be able to qualify for the debates because he's not accepting individual donations. That being said, Bloomberg has been doing really well. Bloomberg has bought his way in. He's in fourth place. I told you last week he was like a half point ahead of Pete Buttigieg. Now he's almost a point and a half ahead of Pete Buttigieg, and he is more solidly in fourth place. And as I said before, I believe Bloomberg's strategy of pouring money into Super Tuesday states is going to end up with him doing no worse than third. I believe that Elizabeth Warren has lost all momentum and that it is possible that Michael Bloomberg ends up with as many or more delegates than the number Elizabeth Warren ends up with in third place. I believe by the time it's all said and done, Bloomberg will be no worse than third place. But without being in the debates, it's going to be tougher. So the DNC signaled a couple weeks ago, yeah, we might change the rules once people start voting. We knew it would be possibly to let Michael Bloomberg in. And the way they did it is by saying, listen, before any votes are cast, we have our requirements. We have a donor requirement. We have a polling requirement. Once people start voting, people are speaking. We should consider just going by polling support and results in the primaries. And case in point, exactly as predicted, after New Hampshire, just in time for Bloomberg to get onto the debate stage before Nevada and South Carolina and Super Tuesday, the DNC is going to double the polling requirement, but they are getting rid of the individual donor requirement altogether. So starting in mid-February, if Michael Bloomberg can keep growing his support, he will be on the debate stage. And hilariously, it's conceivable that Bloomberg will be in and Pete Buttigieg will not. But that's an unlikely scenario, which we'll see. The new requirements are you need at least 10% support in 4 polls between January 15 and February 18, or 12% in 2 polls in Nevada and South Carolina to be at the February 19th debate. If you earn at least 1 delegate in Iowa or New Hampshire, you also can be at that next debate. So there's one Friday, the one after that. So when you look at these requirements, Bloomberg had 10% in a recent poll. If you go back to January 15th, he, I think, was over 10 in some other polls. We'll see if they're allowed in. There's a very specific list of which polls are allowed. So the polling requirement might or might not qualify him, but his trajectory suggests that Bloomberg could end up in that end of February debate. As of today, only Biden, Bernie, and Warren qualify. We're still 2 weeks out. Pete Buttigieg not qualified as of right now. If I'm the supporter of one of these other candidates, I'm furious when I see this. There is logic to, listen, people are voting now, so we don't need donor counts. It makes some sense. But the thing is, people aren't really going to be voting for Bloomberg in these upcoming primaries. Bloomberg is barely doing anything in Iowa and in New Hampshire. He's skipping right to pouring money into and resources into the Super Tuesday states. Nothing about Bloomberg's situation really has changed other than polling support. Now, at the same time, as I said before, if you step back and you look and you see you've got Bernie, Biden, and Warren, and then you've got Bloomberg, and then behind that is Pete Buttigieg, who's been in basically every debate. It is weird not to have Bloomberg at the debates. Like when you see the level of support he has, you would say that's someone we probably should be hearing from. But as I said before, these are the rules that the DNC set. Now they have the risk of enraging people if they change the rules to let Bloomberg in, which they are at least potentially doing. We'll see if Bloomberg ends up getting in. Let me say one other thing. Does it not matter that much if you're in the debates at this point? I don't know the answer to this, but my point is Pete Buttigieg has been in every debate and he's lost support for the last 3 months. Weekly, Pete Buttigieg is losing support. Bloomberg, with door-to-door campaigning and YouTube and television advertising, has passed Klobuchar, has passed Tulsi, has passed Tom Steyer, has passed Andrew Yang, and most recently has passed Pete Buttigieg. Maybe the debates aren't that important. Let me know what you think. We're going to follow up on this on our Instagram page at David Pakman Show. Follow me on Instagram at david.pakman. We will take a quick break. Coming up next, Kansas City. When I say Kansas City, what state do you think of? Let me talk about that after the break. I know that the David Pakman Show audience is full of curious and creative people who love learning new things and bettering themselves. And that's why I'm so excited to tell you about one of our sponsors, Skillshare, the vibrant online learning community that offers thousands of classes on almost any topic you can imagine. And you'll get full access to the entire library of classes for 2 entire months free when you go to davidpakman.com/skill. All of the classes are taught by experts in their fields. They've got classes on drawing, painting, photography, video editing, web design, bookkeeping, marketing, personal productivity. Doesn't even scratch the surface. I recently took a class about photography. If anybody follows me on Instagram, you know that my photography skills leave much to be desired. And it was great. I got so much out of it. And hopefully you will see the fruits of me taking that class reflected in my Instagram pictures sooner than later. They have classes for every skill level, whether you're wanting to get better at something you already have experience with, you want to learn something totally new to you. You set your own pace. Classes are usually less than an hour long. They're divided up into bite-sized segments so you can easily fit them into your schedule. Make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, get lost in creativity. Skillshare really makes it easier than ever. Skillshare memberships are less than $10 a month, and that gives you access to the thousands of classes they offer. But everybody in the David Pakman Show audience gets a Skillshare membership totally free for 2 whole months. Just go to davidpakman.com/skill. That's davidpakman.com/SKILL.